You're listening to Start, Scale, Exit, Repeats, Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Revealed. Yes, that is the title of the show. We do a show here every Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern. Nice to see you again, Shadow. As we get more people in the room here, we will begin to jump into our topic. Today we're talking about AI. And what is it that we can do with AI to accelerate our startup? This is actually a fascinating topic for me for multiple reasons. One, I'm working on an article for Forbes magazine titled Accelerate Your Startup with AI. So it's a very similar title. And I've come up with 15 techniques based on personal experience. But I'd also say it's relevant to Mimi and Michelle here, who run Startup Club and also the incubator. Yes, we do have a day job. We run an incubator in Fort Lauderdale where we have about 10 companies. Some of them are actually located in that facility, and some of them are not in the facility but visit the facility often. We have companies that we've invested in all over the country, including Canada as well. We have 3 companies now that we've invested in Canada. You may tell from my Canadian accent. I'm actually sitting here right now at my cottage up in Halliburton, Canada, and we're talking to you live on stage here on Clubhouse. It's called Startup Club. And if you may not know this, if you're listening to this in podcast, but it is a live show. It is a live audience, and it's different than typical podcasts because typically when you have a podcast, you have a host and a guest, or maybe 2 guests. But here we have a community. And it's that community that comes together to share information, to get better ideas. And today we're talking about AI. And if you're in the audience and you want to come on stage, we would love to have you on stage. We'd love to have you up here. And let's talk about this. And I know this is, I think, the third or fourth time that we've actually taken this topic on. But I cannot tell you how transformative AI has become. And any startup that is not utilizing the AI and the technologies, and we're not just talking, as Michelle will point out, right, Michelle, that you're not just talking about ChatGPT. There's a lot of other AI technologies that are coming to market. This will be the decade of AI. Whether you're starting an AI company or whether you want to accelerate your startup, this is an area where you need to really build knowledge. Those founders that do not jump fully into this are going to be left behind. And I am telling you, the things that we are doing in our companies is absolutely amazing. We're seeing this AI produce work that we see executives who are paid sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars to deliver. We're seeing what they can do. So today, again, if you're on stage, if you're in the audience, please raise your hand. It's Friday afternoon. We want to have some fun here. We love doing that every Friday. And you're listening to the show Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Revealed. If you've been listening to past shows, you may have noticed a slight change in the title. And that is because we are synchronizing the title with the book that just came out on October 3rd. And the book hit #1 bestseller on Amazon in many different categories. We are currently #1 new release for Audible for starting a business. And that's because the Audible came out on Wednesday. And I know it took a little longer than a lot of people would have liked, but it did come out. I can tell you this. The gentleman who did the reading of the book has done many, many books and also done Budweiser commercials. I specifically chose this person because he's a little animated. He's not like me. He's not deadpan personality, right? He's a little bit animated. Michelle or Mimi, what are your thoughts on today's topic around AI?
Yeah, I just It's so amazing. I know, a lot of folks are worried about their jobs or whatnot, but the way we're looking at it, it really is like opening up, us who are working on the front lines, whatever, to focus more on growing companies and working on our strategy. So here, at the most base level, the most base level use case I would say is working on copy. And for me, one of my favorite AI tools is actually Copy AI. I find Chat GTP to be a little bit, it doesn't speak like a person would speak. It's a little bit flowery and a little bit too, 100 adjectives. So I'm enjoying right now the AI, and I use it for a lot of different projects, whether it be like writing a job description or doing an email or doing website copy. I found it to be useful. Of course, I review it and I tweak it, whatnot, but it saves me an awful lot of time just getting started. That's my first one. I know it's a very base case and there's a lot more to it than that, but go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, and as I was mentioning, this is the topic of an article that I'm working on for Forbes magazine. I actually completed it yesterday on the plane, sent it to Mimi. Mimi, you did your editing, right, Mimi? And it's looking pretty good. Now I have 14 ways AI can help accelerate your startup. But I don't want this whole session to be just simply 14 ways, that I've used AI and to help the startups in our incubator. I want it to be part of the community. And if you're in the audience, we'd love to have you on stage. We'd love to have you come up and talk about your experiences. Now, that's what we're going to do today as well. We don't want you to come up and say, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. We want you to tell us actual use cases that you've used in your business. Maybe you're in your ideation phase. Maybe you're in the scale phase. Maybe you're in the exit phase, or maybe you're in the repeat phase. But we want to hear from you. We want those raw stories. What worked and maybe what didn't work with AI. Because if we come together as a community, and by the way, that's how the book came together. The book Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, which again came out October 3rd, number one bestseller on Amazon in several categories. That book was a collection of over 200 interviews done mostly on Clubhouse, mostly on this show, from authors, experts, serial entrepreneurs, and members who are part of the Startup Club. It took over 10 years to write this book. The last 2 years, over 200 interviews, and 50 actually made the book. And there are 6 staff members who've been running Startup Club altogether and who have contributed to this book. It was a massive undertaking. It was published by Forbes, and the Audible just came out 2 days ago. I know you'll get a kick out of it. If you're interested in starting, scaling, exiting, repeating, you should consider picking up this book because Forbes also just put the ebook on sale for a few days at $1.99. That's it, $1.99. Now, I love the physical copy because when you see this book, right, Mimi? If you, I don't know if you want to comment on it, Mimi, but when you see this book and you touch it and you see the graphs and there's 58 chapters, there's 200 callouts, there's so many illustrations in this book and charts to make it very simple and understandable. Like I'll admit it, I may be a little ADHD, and I like short chapters. And the fact of the matter is, we wrote this book for entrepreneurs who have ADHD. It may be a little big when you see it, but it's not intimidating. Let me tell you that. A lot of people have said that it's a very easy read, and the reviews are coming in. I think we have 60, about 100 reviews if you include Canada and the U.S., but about 60 in the U.S. And the rank rate right now is about a 4.7, 4.8 out of 5 stars. So if you get a chance, this is it. $1.99 ebook. You can pick it up. We're going to be talking about Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, the topics in the book, as we go through every Friday And AI is actually in the book. And here's the first confession: AI was never used at all for the book. In fact, we had submitted it last November to forms. It takes a long time when you want to publish with a bigger firm. They want to slot you in. So we submitted it late last November, but in February we were working on the cover for the book, and they had asked us, can you please give us some what you think you should put on the book? And so I went to ChatGPT and I submitted to the AI the introduction to the book. Then I said, please write a short description for the inside cover of a best-selling book. I didn't know it was going to be best-selling at the time, but anyway, I just put that in there just for fun. So please write a short description for the inside cover for the book, and it came back. It was nearly perfect. Tiny, tiny tweaks I did. We submitted it. It went on the cover, and 4 months later, I saw it was listed on the Amazon as the Amazon description. And I asked the team at Forbes, and I'm like, guys, I don't understand why you haven't changed or edited this. And they said, no, it's actually perfect. They loved it. This is what I'm talking about. You have at your fingertips an executive, a marketing executive, and it's virtually free. This is an opportunity for startups who might have thought they had to hire whole big marketing teams, but in fact, they don't have to. So that's it. That's one of mine that I'm coming out with right now, Michelle, is this idea that you can use it for marketing. You can take some of your existing documents. You can ask it to summarize those documents. You can ask it to sort of pitch those documents in a short summary. There's a lot of things you can do. Do you want to go next, Michelle? I know you've got like a dozen ideas.
Yeah. So here's one because, we're talking, and I know people are worried about AI replacing people, but I actually am hiring people, and I love using it just to get like job descriptions. Like, I find that saves me so much time, and I've found that the output is rather good. So I'm going to say it helps you actually in hiring people and managing your workforce, whether it be checklist or job descriptions. It's very good for that, Colin.
Oh, I was just on the chat, just on the back channel, trying to say, hey, we'd love to have you come on stage and tell us your story, what you've done with AI. Here's another one that I actually really think could be a game changer. Thank you, Shadow, for coming up and being brave. We'd love to have you on stage. You're always a great contributor, and we truly appreciate those who can contribute, and we'll try to follow as many people who come on stage as we can. I know I have a limit of 2,500 followers. I've talked to Clubhouse. I'm trying to get it raised because there's so many people I want to follow. But I've left a few open for those who want to come on stage. I'd be happy to follow you if you do come on stage. So this one, we did an episode on this podcast, and you can go back and you can search for it. It's probably one of the most powerful episodes you can ever listen to, called Power Talk. And in this, we had the author, best-selling author and global speaker. He came on the show, and he explained to us that you can change a few words in your dictionary, in your life, and it can have a huge impact. And now, how do I know that? Because I hired him to speak at every one of my companies over the last 25 years. I heard him first speak 25 years ago, and it changed my life. It changed the way I speak. What I think this is fascinating about AI is that at paw.com, which is a dog products company, at paw.com, we have a customer service team in the Philippines. Now, sometimes our customer service team, they're not the perfect at English. So you can see how ChatGPT right there, and they use a product called Zendesk, which incorporates AI now. So you can see how a product like that, right out of the gate, can improve language and really increase the strength of business process outsourcing. We're talking Philippines, India, even Ukraine. We have a big facility in Ukraine as well with mostly programmers. But even South America, Latin America, it doesn't matter. Like, you've got a lot of places around the world where English was maybe their second language, but that is no longer a challenge when it comes to at least written. It's no longer, but here's what I liked most about it. You could program it so that you say, make the responses more positive. Incorporate power talking into the responses. Make it so that customers are receiving emails, and you can even add humor. We can even add a little bit of paw humor in those responses. Now, of course, we're going to want the agents to double check what they're sending out to the customers. But what we're doing is we're institutionalizing a process of positive customer service. So I want you to begin to think, when you talk about AI, I want you to think really out of the box. This is not just about making your email sound better in corporate. I mean, that's the worst, actually. I've noticed that with some of the reviews on Amazon, Michelle, as like for start, scale, exit, repeat, is that I think a lot of people are using ChatGPT to write their reviews on Amazon. And by the way, if you are going to do a review for the book, I'd prefer you do a one-sentence review that's just honest. And I loved it because it was simple, it was graphical, whatever it is, and stay away from ChatGPT. These long, drawn-out, corporate-y reviews that I'm reading on Amazon are almost a little bit irritating. And so here I am now. That's sort of the negative side of it, right?
Well, I mean, it's the
I found a
truth, right?
negative. I found a negative, right?
That's why I said I'm enjoying right now using Copy AI. I find it not so flowery, as I like to say, because I like to speak directly and like a human. Sometimes what I do also is I say that in a very direct way, tell me in 50 words or less, so that I don't get this very unnatural kind of response. I think it's important that we look at what it's saying before we just go crazy, go on posting it, Colin.
Yeah, could you talk a little bit more about this prompt engineering? Because you got a good point there, and I've sort of skipped over it a little bit, but it's
Yeah, we lost you.
scenarios and how you ask the question and those kind of things.
I mean, gosh, I mean, for me personally, I think the majority of the time that I'm using AI, and I'm not just going to, say Chat GTP because it's a lot more than that. I love trying out the other tools. Is yeah, like I spend a lot of time trying to refine, and I probably say at minimum, if I had to, estimate, I probably submit the queries like, 3 to 5 times, because I do want it to be, not that it's not accurate, but I want it to be natural and as though I would have said it. Like, I find it very alienating, going on this metaphor about AI. I find it very alienating to get these like long drawn out, responses. And I've seen people, Colin, you included, like that have responded to things. Sometimes it even says this response was by, Chat GTP. I think it's really important, and that we really carefully review and just keep redoing your prompts. I even use that feature where I'm like, no, I didn't like this, redo it again. So, I mean, that's the fun of it, right? Is figuring out how you can get the most of it. At least in my opinion, if I'm going to use it and spend my time doing it, I want to make sure that it's still a good output. Otherwise, I'm not going to send it to somebody. Like, I'm not about that. So, learning how to prompt it and rewrite it is I think critically important.
Oh, it's great, and Michelle. And if you want to play moderator today, that would be great because I know we got Shadow on the board. Shadow's on the board.
Yeah, she's on our board of
But I agree. I
directors.
agree with you there. I totally agree with you. I know. I think. All right. So I'll let you moderate it and take it from here.
Yeah, so love to hear your thoughts, Shadow. I know you've done all kinds of cool things. I know you do artwork as well, and I'm sure there's other things that we're not even aware of. But love to hear your thoughts on where you're finding the most use And what are the good and the bad, quite honestly?
I use Midjourney and ChatGPT almost exclusively. I've played around with a few others. I've heard a lot of good things about Claude too, but I can't access it. It doesn't like Canadians, and neither does Google. So I pretty much have to go with ChatGPT or some of the other services. Um, recently, well, maybe I should back up a little further. I've got a project that's been evolving since June. It started out with basically me doing a image a day, and then I started creating a quote to kind of illustrate the image. And then I started writing reflections based on the quote, which of course comes from the image. And I use ChatGPT to gather ideas and information as background of the writing that I'm doing. And then recently I had ChatGPT basically mentor me on putting together a business model for the new year using this project. So yeah, I've had some fun with it and continue to.
No, it's really cool. So here's something I'm going to kind of switch it up here. I know, like a lot of us have been focused on, like copy and art, which is amazing because it actually does save. At least me, I'm not like a super like fast prolific writer. I love to labor over it, so it saves me personally a lot of time. But here's something I want to throw out is, gosh, there's this amazing amount of, applications that are for the medical industry. And I hope others are thinking about this. Love for anyone who's involved or studying this to come up to the stage. But in the health and medical services, now I think you're talking about things that are really going to improve people's quality of life. Um, Google, for example, is doing a massive project that already I've heard, very positive things of where they're mapping all the, DNA and genome of out there. And it's all for the objective, to help diagnose and treat people better. I've heard amazing things about cancer research. Apparently, AI tools can spot like cancer like much better, much more precisely than the human eye or the even the current systems that are out there, and even prescribed courses of treatment. That kind of stuff, Colin, I'm really super excited about.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I was trying to write this article, 14 ways AI can help accelerate your startup. And then I got to like 14, I'm thinking there's like 200 ways. Like literally. I say in the book, I say make 100 small moves. Well, let's make 100 small AI moves. One of the things I was doing, when we do an article for Forbes, we have to put together an image, and all of the images we've done and for the book and everything have been hand drawn illustrations, and we've done that for the article too. But because this article was about AI, in ChatGPT 4, I asked it to produce an image of a startup, using AI to accelerate its growth. And it came up with something that almost looked a little bit like our incubator that we like illustrated, but with a robot AI, and it looked like it was just looked really cool. So I'm running with it, and we're going to use that for the actual image for the book, for the article on Forbes. And I just thought that was interesting. Then I'm also working at, now I've been doing a lot of speeches. I love doing podcasts. I love doing this show. And I love doing speeches too, but they take a lot of work sometimes. But I was putting together a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, and I had to come up with different images because the particular one is fascinating. This individual called me up and said, I'd love for you to come on to my masterclass. And he's got about 300 people. And he said, what I'd like you to do, though, is I want you to take start, scale, exit, repeat. And I want you to focus on the human side, the emotional side, because I read your book, and I've read books before, and they always talk about, focus on the X factor, which we have in the book, and we have the focus on this, and they focused on that formula. But your book also focuses on the formula of the emotional challenges from starting, scaling, exiting, repeating. So I'm preparing the presentation, and I'm like, okay, I got to come up because you can't. You know, when you do a PowerPoint, the worst PowerPoints are the ones with words on the screen. What people want to see is something interesting. So I said, illustrate. The first one I said was illustrate two entrepreneurs, a male and a female, and have illustrate them experiencing the roller coaster of a startup. And it rendered an absolutely amazing image of these very frightened people who are these two individuals who were on a roller coaster. And then the next slide, I said, okay, give me those similar two entrepreneurs, and this time they're buried in 100 boxes because they're trying to scale their business, but they have challenges, and it rendered that perfectly. And then I said, can you give me an image or a rendering for the same two entrepreneurs or similar? Because I actually did rotate them a little bit, but they're similar, but there were two entrepreneurs in each image. Can you give me that? And this time they're they're celebrating because they sold their business, and it rendered a great business. It rendered a great image, and I just think like that the ability to put blogs together now with images, because when you put an image on a blog, it does make it more impactful. And I will add this too, Michelle, is that going into the blog, the idea of doing blogs for your startup, my wife and I own a school in Fort Lauderdale, and she hadn't updated her blog since 2021. I asked her, I said, would you like me to work on some articles for you? And she said, sure. So I put together 8 articles in 10 minutes. And these articles, like her school is an AMI Montessori, it's really high end Montessori, unique and different. So I asked it to come up with 8 reasons, or 12 this, or 7 reasons why AMI is different than other Montessori. And the articles it produced were absolutely phenomenal. She looked at them and was blown away. So not only can we do the copy for our blog for our startup, but we can also do the images that can go with it. And I think that is absolutely insane. I know we got a lot of people here on stage. By the way, I'm following every one of
Yeah,
you who come on stage. I'll hand it back to you, Michelle.
yeah, let's get on to the audience. We're at about the halfway mark. You're here on Serial Entrepreneur Club, which is the podcast Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. We also post blogs as well as transcripts and links to other materials on our website at www.startup.club. Please feel free to join our email list. We don't spam people, it's just to give you information. So, on that note, let's get to Hoops. Hoops is next. Hoops, what are your thoughts on this topic about scaling your startup with AI?
Hey everybody. Great rooms. Good to see an AI room on Clubhouse again. This landscape has changed so much. So many rooms have escaped this app. But yes, appreciate the space. I hope everybody's having a great day. Yeah, I do use AI for quite a bit, and I think it's a great money and time saving for startups. Period. There's so many documents that need production. There's so many things that startup needs, and I think AI can definitely circumvent some of the costs of that. Operating agreements, business plans, so on and so forth. I think if the owners of the startup learn to use these tools, I think they could really save themselves time and money. I know I have been saving myself a lot of time and money. And when I do produce these documents, I can always turn to someone who have experience in these areas and get a review for even cheaper. But I use AI and myself to co-author and do the heavy lifting. But I'm also I'm a coach, athlete, and I deal with a lot of players. I'm also a strength and conditioning coach, and it saves me so, because normally when I'm writing workouts for my clients and my players, it's an arduous task. It's a very arduous task. If I have a 15-year-old kid with a weak shoulder, looking to strengthen, looking to strengthen his jumping ability, looking to strengthen the shoulder, want to gain a little more. Well, it's an arduous task to write that out. And then if you're writing that out for, 12 different individuals, it can be, it's used to be very challenging. Now with AI, I create these prompts and I basically sub out, the area of weakness, the age of the client, so on and so forth. And ChatGPT brings me back this awesome framework that takes little to no time, and then I can go through and and tailor that more suitable to my needs. Also, for copies that for blog copies or social media copies. I heard Michelle mention earlier, write me a copy within 50 words, and that's a great way to keep it tame, because it can get pretty expansive, and get pretty long. So you can taper it down, and to give you something effective to easy read for the readers. So I use it for a lot of my posts. I've also written 2 books, and I've used it extensively with my image generation. I'm also a graphic artist, so I would take these images into Illustrator or Photoshop and then taper them, adjust them, so on and so forth. But of course, would have used Midjourney to do a lot of the heavy lifting. ChatGPT has been a savior. I think I've learned a lot from it as well, because I wasn't always the best writer, and from the simple exercise of writing a copy, or a copy, and inputting it into the AI, and then taking that output. First, when I started doing it, I would take the output of whatever copy I inputted, and I would post the output. I've been doing a lot of that so much now. Now I question that output, because I find myself writing and structuring my copies much better, because I've been going back and forth with the AI so much. So now, if it doesn't return an output that I'm satisfied with, I used the input that I gave it, because I'm now satisfied with it. So my writing has improved tremendously from using the AI. So that's one thing I noticed. But yeah, just to land, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I use Poe as well, because I like to trade, move it in between more than one. And I heard Michelle mention that earlier as well. I like to move each copy between, I can move it in between 10 different AIs within the Poe environment, because it's got Llama, it's got Google, it's got quite a few other AIs in there, as well as ChatGPT, and then there's also the assistant. So, I can run it around quite a few of those and take that output and, do some tailor it down and have a pretty good output. So, yeah, I'm having fun with it, and I really think it's improved my writing quite a bit, and I'll continue to have fun with it.
Hey,
Image
Coach.
production, yes, sir.
Coach Hoops. Let me ask you a question. We had a sort of an aha moment about 3 weeks ago. We did a show here where we prompted the voice chat, the voice chat
Right.
GPT. We prompted her. Had the lady voice on. We prompted her to interview me for the book, and we said, ask questions and do a 2-minute summation at the end. And I was blown away at how successful it was, how detailed her interview was. She asked 13 questions. She only cut me off twice, which was, don't know why, but whatever. But it was absolutely fascinating. I know we haven't posted that; it's in the replays, but it will be posted on the podcast the next Wednesday. Mimi will be posting it. She's going to post every Wednesday now. She'll be posting one. But let me ask you a question. Because, a lot of startups don't have the money to afford coaching. Do you think, now I know your coaching is a different type of coaching, okay? But I'm sort of trying to roll with it here. Is it going to be possible in the future where we could literally have an AI that can do strategic coaching for startups that want to start a business? I know that's a leap. I know I'm going out there, but I want your thoughts on that before we go to the next speaker.
Sure. I think there's already one. I think I think you can speak with pi.ai. And pi.ai does a great job of working you through certain challenges that you may have, business or personally or otherwise. It helps me to really refine the cover of the book that I wrote. It helps me to work through quite a few other issues as well because it talks back to you and it does a great job of taking you chronologically through and meandering you through certain situations and then enabling you to find a solution. So yeah, I think Pi AI is probably already can probably already service that coaching uh, situation that you just mentioned.
I love using it as a coach. That's something I hadn't thought of. And it's just so, now that you say it, it seems so obvious. So I'm definitely going to try that. Like, if I understand you correctly, you're talking about workouts, right? Like we could do our workout with a diet. Is that right, Hoops?
Okay, come on, Michelle.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, with yes, for sure, with a
What do you
diet, with
mean?
warm up exercises, with and then of course the workout
How
exercises.
does it know? Come
And
on, how
then
does it know you're like, I have arthritis, I have this, I have that, I'm overweight? Well, how does it know all these issues? I mean, I guess I'd have to explain. I don't know. Actually do have a personal physical trainer that I do for my CrossFit, and I have a physiotherapist, and I have a CEO coach. And by the way, they're all human. Okay, I'm just telling you right now. And I just don't think that when you're going to get into physical training, that AI could, maybe it can support a human.
No, I
All
think it
right.
could. Who? Help me out here. Help me out here, my
for
friend.
sure, for sure, most definitely, most definitely. Yeah, the survival of the personal trainer is gonna in the future will definitely depend on how they're incorporating AI into their already framework. There's already so many. I think those who start to interject AI into their work, their strategy of dealing with clients, I think they're gonna, survive going forward because it does some amazing things as far as time, time savings and so on and so forth. So for sure, yeah.
Folks, do you mind if I chime in on the question of coaching for businesses with
Yeah, yeah.
AI?
Go for it.
Um, so my name is Peter. I'm building a company. AI, kind of, when OpenAI showed up in the picture this winter, um, it kind of I don't think it changed the direction of where the business was going because we planned on using AI anyway at some point. But we started off as a basically a task management project for small businesses that wanted to do investment crowdfunding from their communities. And when OpenAI showed up, we were like, "Holy shit!" So now, I mean, like, it's literally a conversation with my developer that we're having tomorrow morning about using. Basically, we have like imagine like investment crowdfunding, like a gigantic project management, uh, like Asana essentially, that's custom for this process, right? That's what we're building essentially. And we're building AI into it so that any small business owner who wants to raise money to keep their cafe open for another year from their community instead of going to a bank can basically go on our platform and prepare all elements of their investment crowdfunding campaign, and that includes coaching on fundraising, marketing, basically generating all of their content for their campaign and for their marketing for them, so they don't need to be their own investment bank and marketing agency to raise money. So, like, I mean, Colin spoke about that. And I was like, oh, that's my wheelhouse. That's what I do.
Hey guys, may I piggyback on that?
Yeah,
So
of course.
this is Savalas from Heartbeat Fam, and first I want to mention about this first thing you mentioned, Peter, about creating all the documents. I just was showed something today from my friend. It's called Startilla, STARTILLA.co. You put in a little bit of a
Cool.
phrase, and it creates all your startup artifacts. You
That's
guys,
awesome.
you can go there
Wait,
now.
what is that again? This is interesting.
Exactly. My friend showed me. It's blowing my mind right now.
What is it?
It's
What's it called
Startilla.
again?
STARTILLA.co.
Cool.
Startilla.
I'm
And it
looking
can
them up right.
And what does
someone
it
can
do?
even someone can even try it right now, and you'll have all your artifacts just generated by
Oh
AI.
my gosh, that's amazing.
It's crazy.
That's awesome. That's a competitor. That's interesting.
It already matches all the hard work that I've been working on for the last month or so. The documents that it outputted. Okay, that's one thing. Also, I want to pick back on the last date. I believe Michelle was talking about the workout, and Colin was mentioning about how does it know certain things about you. Well, my platform is Heartbeat Fam. I created it for my 86-year-old grandmother. It's a communication platform for the family going through the caregiving journey. One of my apps that's on the platform is called Bend AI, and it takes into account of your challenges, your illnesses, and it has you to fill out your frequency information, and it puts together a workout plan week for week. My grandmother is dealing with a few things. She's fallen a few times, and she's dealing with immobility. So I have a workout every other day for her from what I've generated from my app.
That is so cool.
Very sweet.
That is so
Like,
cool,
that's
right?
nice of
Because you
you.
could be like, just, I need a program over 6 weeks to develop my core body strength and whatever, mobility, I think is what you're saying, right?
Michelle, actually, I just take you through a quick drop down survey of
Uh-huh.
what you need, and I have so much different
Oh,
details in it. And then
right.
I take care of because I'm an engineer and a data scientist, so I take care of everything to actually generate the plan that matches it for you.
Wow.
That's awesome. I would use that for myself. Like, I live in a village on the side of a mountain in Turkey. Like, there is no decent gym in here. Like, that would be cool. I'd use it.
It's a
Nice.
good thing you mentioned that, Peter. You say you live on the countryside. There's no decent gym. I also
Yeah,
have in the platform. What equipment do you have that's accessible
Oh,
for? So
that's
depending on
awesome.
that, it will output the information.
you got that,
All right,
Colin?
drop your link in the chat, please.
I'm
Yeah.
just getting used
Okay,
to
but I'll tell you one thing it
the
can't do.
new clubhouse, so I'm trying to figure out where the chat is.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a mess,
yeah.
but let me tell you one thing it can't do. So
What?
every Tuesday, Thursday morning, my coach shows up, a human again, and I'm like, so I don't want to do this. I don't want to I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't wanna do this. He shows up, and I'm like, okay, I have to do it. The AI shows up, and it's like, screw you, I'm not doing it. It doesn't have the emotions. You're not paying
Colin,
the
Yeah, I
AI.
want the AI
All
Colin,
to
right, I'm having
remove
fun with
me.
it.
let me ask you a
No.
question. It's not about removing the human at all. It's about getting the plans. And I am my grandmother's coach. I'm a few things. I'm a caregiver for her along with my rest of my family. 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. is my shift. And then every other day at 4 p.m., I go to her home and I follow that AI generated plan with her. So you have to have the human piece in there. The human piece needs to stay. AI is not about getting rid of the human.
Colin, the as a coach who's been doing this for a while with clients, the thing about yourself is you need to stay motivated. So I think you need to incorporate reading and watching videos of workouts. Find those can be very inspirational. reading certain magazines. You know, there's muscle magazines, so on and so forth. It's good to read those as well. You are on a journey and you need motivation. And you'll find, you know, when you start reading those, you're going to want to get up and do certain workouts, even when your trainer is not around. You know, I keep a lot of stuff around the house. I really don't even need a gym because I do so much plyometrics, and those are things you can do too around the home. You know, that can prep you for when your trainer you do get with your trainer, and you'll find that very impressive. So I think you need to start reading more. And you know, I'm sure you're on Instagram. Start following a few trainers on Instagram, and that'll give you a lot of motivation. So when your trainer
Thank
comes,
you.
you'll be ready.
Thank you. And Michelle, you're going to have to come along that journey as well. All right,
Yeah,
let's move on.
I
Let's
think
move
I
on.
do.
Let's move on.
I
Let's.
think
It's
I
not
do.
about. It's not about my
I
physical
know.
health. It's about
Oh,
AI.
you brought it up, brother.
I
So here we
know, and
go. Here
I'm
we
fighting. I
go.
said, what's the good and the bad of AI, right?
Yeah,
So, you know, I do think that it can augment in a very big way, and maybe even through a BPO model. Who knows how it could all evolve?
I
Now, that
know.
being said, we have, I think,
Mike,
Mike. Right, Mike's next.
let's get to Mike. Mike.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying the image generation, which I use to do, for example, this little Twitter blurb that is an intro for my project. I posted a link there in the chat. Also, I'm really impressed by the programming capabilities. I think there's a lot of potential there. As a programmer, I can see how this will accelerate and change a lot of things. I think it's a major paradigm shift is starting to happen. So I'm pretty excited about that too.
All right. So you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, social media posts, is that what you're saying your use cases, Mike?
What? No. I
Are
used it
you?
to generate a few images. I mean,
Oh,
the
okay.
use cases for the images could be anything. This one just happened to be a social media post that's an intro to my project. I was able to come up with representative images relatively quickly. I think they look pretty cool. People can judge for themselves, but um, it's definitely come a long way. And I wouldn't want to be a graphic artist right now.
Right.
I think that one's on the chopping block for sure. As it gets better, especially the next couple rounds of updates of these image generation models, I think they're going to be really, really good. But I'm really excited about the programming capabilities. The ability to say, do this, and then it writes a program. That's pretty darn powerful. It also opens up a lot of questions in terms of data structures, security, and a lot of other things. But that's also an opportunity for different developers to basically build the next generation apps around these algorithms and basically build software that's more powerful, easy to use, kind of like has tutorials built in and things like that.
Yeah, that's one area I know I need to try out more. And Shadow, up here on the stage with us, has talked about the image generation a lot. I think you're right. Like, there's been a big barrier to entry, let's just say, in image generation kind of softwares. And I need to start trying it out. So, are you guys saying I should first try Midjourney? Is that the recommendation from our members?
Yeah, sure. And Leonardo, those are two good ones.
All right.
Dolly, yeah.
What do
Midjourney
you?
has a cost right off the bat. DALL-E is right inside ChatGPT. You can play with it there. Midjourney's really good, but there's also a lot of skill to it in
Uh-huh.
the actual prompt engineering to get what you want out of it. ChatGPT, the benefit there is you're using natural language, so it's a great way to get yourself started with an idea of what the images will come out as.
All right,
That's what I
that's
did for the article for Forbes. I used
chat.
ChatGPT. I didn't even go to DALL-E anymore. I just went to ChatGPT. I just asked her.
Well, it's integrated now.
Yeah, it's integrated. I love that. I actually like it. For me, it seems a little easier to use than it was before. And then I also did that for the PowerPoint presentation. So, when you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, you don't want words on the screen. You want images. And now you can come up with images. I described earlier, like this idea of, you're scaling a company. So I said two entrepreneurs being, buried in boxes and illustrated. I like doing illustrations versus, sort of live. Live to me looks almost fake. It looks weird a little bit. I don't know.
Contrived.
So I
Yeah.
did an image for Remembrance Day, and of course, because that's a Canadian thing, and
Hmm.
it's American based, I gave it a little background as to what Remembrance Day was, and then I said to it, I want an appropriate Remembrance Day image, and I want a wreath in it that says "We will remember them," and it blew me away because it got it the first time, even had the correct spelling on the wreath.
Wow.
So you can give it a little background and then give it a prompt, and it'll go from there.
That's amazing. Excellent. Well, we want to make sure we get to everyone here on the stage. I think everyone's talked except for you, Mimi. Did you want to add anything? Obviously, you're doing a lot of blog posts. You're doing a lot on the startup.club website. We do videos, we do editing. Like, what is your favorite use? And maybe what do you think you're going to try next? I'd be interested in that.
Definitely have been loving using it for blog posts, social media, copy, writing copy and stuff like that, and got a lot of good suggestions on new things. I just recently started using ChatGPT to create the images for the blog post, so I'm curious how that's going to evolve and what are the best practices for that, but I'm really liking that.
I find
Very
it
cool.
interesting that the national publications that we're working with have a very strict rule of absolutely no AI. So if I try to like put an article together, I'll work on it, but sometimes I'll go into AI just to get ideas, but I won't take any text from it, right? But for the most part, it is original, and then Mimi will do the editing, and we have another editor as well who works for Forbes. But it's interesting that they're very particular about it not being generated by AI because there's some concern, I think, around the SEO that somehow Google's going to know it's AI generated. There's so much AI generation out there, and they don't want that to proliferate. So then I guess the negative could be here that
Well,
if
as
we
long as
all
you're not
relied
taking
on,
verbatim, right?
give me 1 second. If we all relied on AI to almost like do all our content. Now, don't get me wrong. For the school, like my wife's school, for all these small business, I'm 100% behind it. Don't get me wrong at all. But if we all relied on AI, then AI becomes the way we all think. It becomes the standard, and then that creativity, those ideas that we can pull from the artists and the consciousness of the human race, they no longer bubble up because it's just too easy to ask AI. Hoops, what are you
You
thinking?
know,
I think Hoops
Yeah,
wanted to not talk next, and then we'll go to you, Peter.
yeah. I was just
my bad.
saying, Colin. As long as people aren't plays. I mean, you're not taking everything the AI gives. In a situation like that, you definitely have to edit that down and tailor it down, as you probably know. And then you won't really have a problem with it. AI is just doing the heavy lifting. That's all it does. And then you got to go in there and and move things around and clean it up and edit it. So I don't think you would have a problem with that. Um,
Yeah, I was, trying to write an article today, and I enjoyed the process of writing, and I kind of want AI to be an editor for me, literally like an hour before we got on this call. And I told it, I was like, help me write kind of in the style of Hunter S. Thompson, and it's like not doing it at all. It's boilerplating it. It's got these it learned ways of communication that are very corporate, I guess. Like they're all very vanilla or something. I don't know. It's yeah. That's my that's my feedback.
No,
And
yeah.
it's interesting
That's a
because
concern of mine too. Like I'm just like, could it be any more damn flowery? Like I know I don't want to talk that way. So yeah, that's a question. I also thought that is it going to dumb down things? I know that sounds weird as it quote gets smarter. It's going to be really interesting to see the evolution, right?
yeah, that's why
I
you got
have
to
some
go in and
input on
clean
that,
it up.
guys.
That's why you got to go in and clean it up. Got to,
Yeah,
or else it's going to be
Yeah, for
flowery and
sure.
Yeah, you know.
There's also, and they actually use OpenAI as well. It's called Copilot, and Microsoft released that on yesterday. It's very similar to ChatGPT, but except for they have three different settings. One is where it focuses more on the hallucination, the flowery you're talking about, and then there's another one that's focuses on being precise. So
Oh,
it's
you,
three
you
different
you mean the
settings.
Bing, the one that's in Edge browser?
Yeah, Bing is now becoming
I'm in
Copilot.
it right now, literally
It's
right now. Yeah,
it's called Copilot. Yeah, so
yeah.
that's the new
That
name for
actually
Bing.
is ChatGPT.
It really is. I mean, that's what everyone was saying on the comments, but everything's growing right now.
Yeah, it's literally like I got on in this room because I am like live making it edit my pitch deck and criticize it for me. And I'm literally sitting in it because, I don't want to pay for ChatGPT sub. It's free here. It's cool. It's working pretty nicely. And, it can use the Microsoft, the search engine,
Do you see the three
turn the edge
settings?
around.
Do you see the three settings there where it says
Yeah, yeah.
precise? Okay.
I'm in creative. When I was working in the deck to get like data points about startup undercapitalization and small business undercapitalization, I was in the precise settings. But now since I need the edits in, I'm in the creative. It's nice.
And so you're using this for your pitch deck for your startup?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. What is the startup? Like, just give us like a little quick one. You
Sure.
may have mentioned it already, but
It's a subscription as a service and service marketplace to help small businesses with investment crowdfunding.
got it. Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. So the pitch deck, like, how did it how did it help you lay it out? Can you just give us some
Yeah,
more details of that?
sure.
Because that's fascinating, isn't that, for every startup out there that they could
So
use this technology to
it's
help them with
really
a pitch
meta
deck?
because we are going to build AI into our thing to basically create the entire crowdfunding campaign, content, social media posts, literally like all the images for small businesses, and now AI is doing that for us. So the way I'm doing it is basically the first thing I'm doing is I mean I don't know if this is a good model, but I told it, hey, I'm going to upload all of the slides of my deck one by one into this chat. I just want you to basically take in those slides, and then we're gonna like do stuff with it. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm just training it on what my startup is because it needs the full picture. I'm concerned that it might not have enough like memory space later, so that's why I'm not telling it to um, produce any feedback. I don't want it to produce any feedback because if it does, then it's gonna get dumber later, and it's not gonna be able to take in all of our marketing strategy, partnership strategy, all that stuff, right? So first it's going to absorb every slide. And then, I know the slides I'm stuck on, and that's, I need the problem slides to be, I have like 4 or 5 problem slides. I need it to be much shorter because, the investors don't have the attention for that. And so, I'm going to ask it to sum it up. And then, I know that our market size slide is, I mean, it just kind of looks a little bare. So I wonder what it can give me in terms of adding more information in there, like what kind of statistics I can add. And just general criticism, so, cause like I'm so tired that my brain is barely even functioning in terms of like creative energy. So maybe I can outsource that to AI.
Michelle, I don't know about you, but the power of the community at Startup Club coming together and helping us with this live show, and also it's a podcast. But isn't that cool? Like, I learned so much today. I'm almost thinking, and I don't know if I'm beginning to think that we need to have a second show that we do every week that's nothing but AI. I
Yeah,
know we've done a lot of AI shows, but I feel like if we did a show, and we're not talking about AI like the complicated technology, blah, we're talking about how startups can use AI to accelerate their growth. Because Today's show was phenomenal. Really enjoyed it, and I know it's good because I learn a lot from it. And when I learn stuff, that's really cool because we've done like 6 shows, and I've learned like 6 or 7 different things I wrote down today, and really appreciate it. What are your thoughts, Michelle?
Yeah, it was amazing. And I'm all about it. I think we should have a regular recurring AI show. And Shadows, I'd love for you to, be one of the moderators here. So we should touch bases, and anyone else, everyone's been amazing, the contribution. You can always email us at hello@startup.club. And I think we could pull it together. We got some really good input, some really good use cases, and let's be honest, a lot of like real life experience going on here, Colin.
Yeah, and if you've not already done so, go to startup.club. Check out what Mimi and the team have done over there, the editorial, the 130 or so podcasts that they've launched. And it is absolutely fascinating how much knowledge this community at Clubhouse and Startup Club have been able to put together through all of these shows. I know next Wednesday we're going to post the quite popular interview with ChatGPT. I was interviewed by ChatGPT for the book Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, and it was a little bit funny and hilarious and nerve-wracking at the same time. It was a 30-minute interview, and that's going to be posted next Wednesday. But if you want to know what's going on, because we have about 6 guest speakers coming on this show every Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern. We're sticking with it. We're sticking with Clubhouse. I know it's going through its ups and downs.
Yep. And
Literally,
we
I just
just
got a
saw.
phone call from George Verduga, the guy who actually
Oh,
introduced
yeah.
me to Clubhouse. Anyway, but we're sticking with it. We're sticking with Clubhouse. We're sticking with Startup Club. We're going to be here every Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern, to help you figure out your journey to start, scale, exit, repeat. That's what we want to do. If you haven't already had a chance, grab the book. It's Forbes Books put it up for sale for $1.99 for a few days here. The ebook. I do love the physical book, but the Audible is out as well. It came out 2 days ago, and it is already the #1 new release for Audible for starting a business on Amazon, or I guess on Audible, whatever you call it. So we will see you next week, 2 o'clock Eastern. Every one of you on stage, I really appreciated your contributions. I know Michelle did. I know Mimi did. And I know Shadow did. We all, Shadow's coming to our side now. She's a moderator now. No, I'm just joking. But like, the reality is we all appreciate this because the community, we can really come up with some good stuff together and figure out how we can dominate the AI world. Let me end with this one thing. And I talk about this in the book, by the way. This is actually in the book. AI will be the most disruptive technology of our lifetime. It is a historic moment for every entrepreneur out there. And AI, that paradigm shift, will mint more millionaires than any other technological shift in history. Thank you very much for listening to Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Reveal. It's on your favorite podcast channel, but it's also a live show on Fridays, 2 o'clock Eastern on Clubhouse, Startup Club. Thank you very much. See you next week.